Should you buy Watch Dogs Legion in 2021? Watch Dogs Legion to many was the final shot Ubisoft would get to make the franchise popular and respected. Watch Dogs 1 was released to a major disappointment due to how high expectations were because of the false marketing Ubisoft used, and Watch Dogs 2 completely ditched the tone to be more comedic, sacrificing pretty much the only thing that was handled well in the original, which was the tone. Watch Dogs 2 was overall just an average game but still worth your time, but that was it. So did Ubisoft do their job this time around? Should you buy Watch Dogs Legion in 2021? This shouldn't be a very long video, as there really isn't too much to talk about. We'll be talking gameplay and narrative, or at least what's left of it in the franchise. Thanks again for the support. There really isn't a lot to say. I have no idea what Ubisoft wants to do with the franchise when it comes to storytelling. Watch Dogs 1 started out pretty average, a decent revenge tale with the occasional twist but had a consistent tone and some likeable characters. Then Watch Dogs 2 came out addressing the criticism of Watch Dogs 1's tone, an overall boring look graphically by completely ditching everything Ubisoft did with the original in favour of being cool with characters that are walking stereotypes while making a mockery of everything that was built up in Watch Dogs 1, turning DedSec into a joke and losing any sort of stakes that was built up. Watch Dogs Legion goes down the same route. In fact, there really isn't much of a narrative here. A new group of hackers frame DedSec for an attack on London, resulting in DedSec needing to rebuild its reputation by recruiting people off the street to prove their innocence, and it's just so boring and generic. Now, I may be biased, but there is a show called Mr. Robot, which you can watch on Amazon, and is the perfect example on how you create great stories with hacking in the background. Now, obviously it's a show, but the point is you can tell a great story even with characters or ideas that would be considered cringy or stereotypical. But Ubisoft chose to give all that opportunity up for some basic plot points so they can be cool, and it's just a tragedy because I seriously see major potential in this concept, but it's just not capitalized on. Now, it's not all bad. The way you recruit characters does blend well with the cutscenes. It is commendable how well random NPCs can be recruited and then blend in with cutscenes with different voice actors and designs, but that's all because of how surface level everything is in this game, and that's shown through a bare bones script when it comes to exploring themes. The soundtrack is generic and basic as hell, although I am British so the radio shows were decent, but the actual OST, which original soundtrack, is something you would hear on, I don't know, insert any generic TV show no one watches. I can't recall any character names or villain names, and I finished playing it a week ago, and no, I didn't fully finish the game because I just couldn't. I'll explain more a bit in the later gameplay section. This section is already done, and this might be my shortest video yet. The best way I can put it in terms of story is if you have a creative mind, you're better off making your own stories in your head as you play through the game, making each character you recruit a new plot point and hoping it all comes together in your head towards the end, which to be honest will probably be a better narrative than what was actually made here. Watch Dogs Legion is a great example of a game that looks at its competition and tries to copy all of them into one game. GTA plus the Nemesis system from Shadow of War combined with basic hacking mechanics and a lot of cringe.
Listen, if anyone knows anything about risks, it's me. I lost everything and everyone.
Okay, let's get started. The new mechanic with permadeath is just a gimmick. It works and does its job, but it's really just a bunch of skills locked behind characters that you may never unlock, meaning you'll probably miss out on a bunch of gameplay variety because you chose not to recruit literally every NPC in the game. That's what this mechanic is. It's a living skill tree, at least that's what I think. These characters come with different voice actors. Well, not really. My first guy sounded like his voice was manipulated to sound like a different person. I may just be assuming it, but this guy has the voice of a devil if this is his genuine real voice.
DedSec is about as popular as the plague these days. Welcome aboard.
Banging! I'm gassed. When do we start bashing heads in?
Driving feels worse than ever, feeling like an absolute joke, which really annoyed me as I was hoping to see London be replicated properly, but you could just blast down roads at 90 miles per hour in London, and if you don't know much about London, let me just say you'd probably crash going around 40 on some of the roads. Obviously, that was a personal nitpick, but it seriously sucks. Car customization amounts to a paint job. GTA, this is not. All the cars feel the same and the physics are an absolute joke. I mean, just look at the gameplay I've just got from a new save. Once again, it's not all bad. I actually do like the new hand-to-hand combat system Ubisoft made, as the animations do actually look quite good and inspired from John Wick, and who doesn't like John Wick? So that is one of the few positives, but the problem is only certain characters have skills focused on it, which means most of the time you won't even have access to a melee system that feels cool. I mentioned how I couldn't complete Watch Dogs Legion, and it's simply because I don't want to. I know this is technically my hobby and I need to get these reviews out properly and I need to have a fair perspective, but I'm telling you, this game is so boring. It is just nothing. It is a bunch of missions, side missions that are turned into a main story mission, and it's just not good. It is not good. The mission design is all over the place. The soundtrack is generic. It's boring to look at. It's boring to listen to. It is just an absolute mess, and it's just boring. There is no fun, and I want to play a game that's fun. This game is supposed to be fun. The whole mechanic, the whole idea is to have permadeath. It's meant to feel like you've got stakes, like there's something to lose, and you just don't feel it. It's so boring, because you can just replace these characters instantly. And sure, they may not have the same skill set, but I mean, the skills are so generic as well. There's really not much changing it up. It's not that good. Gun customization, guess what? Yeah, it doesn't exist. You can change the skin on your guns, and that's about it, and we all know why. Microtransactions. Another Ubisoft game designed to suck your wallet dry, and I'm just tired of it. The gunplay is decent, it feels slightly better than Watch Dogs 2, but at the same time it doesn't feel better than Watch Dogs 1, which is just amazing to me. It's kind of poetic how the first game that was criticised the most, rightly so, is right now probably the best game in the franchise. Now, my favourite bit, the AI, also known as artificial intelligence, and guess what Ubisoft is notorious for? Terrible AI. And oh my god, it's bloody terrible. Potentially the worst AI I've experienced this year, and I don't say that lightly because I played Cyberpunk. I'm showing you a police chase, and just look how the game responds. I just wiped a bunch of officers out, and I didn't even come close to being caught. You can literally just walk right in front of an enemy, and they won't see you, and you can run right past them in the loudest shoes possible, and they would just think it's the wind. It is genuinely horrendous, and I don't want to talk about it anymore. Hacking has also been significantly downgraded. Remember those awesome blackouts you could do in previous games? Yeah, that's gone. Remember blowing pipelines up and finding really cool ways to try and combine hacks together? Pretty much gone. Ubisoft gives you the illusion of creativity by pointing out in main missions that you can now jump on a drone and fly it, or use a tiny little robot spider to infiltrate. This is why Ubisoft should never handle something that requires as much creativity as hacking games do. I mean, even Cyberpunk blows this game away in terms of creativity. I'm sorry I just moaned for the last 5 or 6 minutes, but overall this game is just a disaster and is only worth buying for like $10. But even then I would say there are so many better games out there for that price point. Stay clear of this corporate microtransaction product. I don't think you should buy Watch Dogs Legion. Thank you for watching.